Hello and welcome to the Virtual Advantage live show. Today I'm joined by the co-founder of Innovate Virtual Assistants, Charmy Galang, and myself, François Lantier. We're really excited today to talk about a really important topic. A lot of people dismiss, I guess, is a mid-year check-in for your business. So Charmy, welcome and thanks for joining me today. I know you're busy.
Thanks, Francois. No, it's always pleasure to be doing these shows with you.
Thank you. And you've got all kinds of amazing processes to manage everything you do, Charmy. I admire you. Seriously, you're a mom, number one. That's quite hard work already. Number two, you have real estate investments. We have a portfolio. Number three, you've got Charmy et compagnie, your stock trading coaching program and company. And number three, you've got Innovate. Four, sorry, I can't count.
Just
Number
for you.
so that's it. How do you manage all this? And do you have some tips to be more productive as a busy individual?
No, for sure. And I would say that I think a lot of people nowadays, out of necessity, have more than just one job. It's really it's something that our parents probably didn't have, but we have to do ourselves. So I would say the systems and structures are very important, especially when you're doing more than one type of company. Like I have four. The way you structure your schedule as well. So there's a few things I do. One is the way you do your scheduling. I think it's the most important thing. So I follow the batching and blocking, the way I do my schedule. So basically, what I do is I put all the same items together. So that's called batching. So if you have, for example, you need to do videos, I would always do them in the same day and just get them all done in one day. And what's nice with that is there's this thing called like you can't really multitask very well. As humans,
No.
we're not very good at multitasking. So every time you switch to another project, it takes your brain like 10 minutes to get used to it. So by doing batching, you really become more efficient, and it's also less mental fatigue, because there's a lot to think about when you're doing different projects. So that's what I first do. I do a batch, and then after that, once I know which items I can batch together, I block them in my day. So I'll say, like, every Monday I do all my videos, every Tuesday I talk to my clients, and that way it gives me a very good structure and I get a lot of things done during the week. And another thing I would say is that it's not something that a lot of people I see do. Is that try to do the hardest task in the middle, in the beginning of the week.
Yes, eat the frog.
Yes, eat the frog like early during the week, like Monday, Tuesday. What's nice with that is that you get the very hard things right away done, so you feel so accomplished, and get your week gets easier middle of the week. So it really helps. It helps me that I'm not super tired at the end of the week. Because there's a lot of things like having four companies. It is a lot, and you need to structure it, or else you're just gonna be everywhere, doing a
Yeah.
lot, but not accomplishing much.
No, that's it. If you don't put things in place, someone else is going to manage your time, and that's going to be emergencies and little things. And like you said, you're not going to reach your goal. Eating the frog, I don't know if anybody listening has heard that before, but they say, anyway, I've read books about it. Personally, I was never for it. I was always kind of against it. So, what actually got me on board with that, I'm trying to discipline myself, is when you do savings, so you coach people on investments, you need to save money to invest money.
Yes.
They always say pay yourself first. So I believe in paying myself first with time as well. When's my most productive time? It's usually mornings and it's usually early in the week, as you mentioned. So it's kind of like eating the frog. That's my most productive time. That's the best time for me. So I'm paying myself first by spending that time on projects and things that will bring in money and value and other things, just like you mentioned. But the frog thing, I just couldn't. It wasn't for me. So
Yeah,
anyway,
when
that's
you
a great
heard it, I
tip.
was like, "Eat the frog." That's such a weird thing to say, but you know, there's different ways to make it work for you. But that's basically the main concept, right? So
Yeah, like really block that time. And I need to work on that. I have all kinds of videos. I have a list here on my desk that I haven't touched. So, yep, I need to block some time, batch things. I like that. And Charmy, you're really serious about it. Sometimes I message you, it's like totally ghosted. I'm like, perfect. She's doing what she's supposed to, which I should do as well. I should not check my emails every 5 minutes and have it on my watch and my phone and my computer. And that's not good. You get nothing done. So,
Yeah, emails is such a big distraction, I would say. Like, because you can just be in your emails every 5 minutes and it
oh,
takes
yeah.
so much of your brain power. So I only check my emails 3 times a day. I try to anyways. That's my goal. And that's why sometimes Francois emails me and I'm like, that's gonna be my next batch. Unless it's urgent.
Yeah.
Because most of the time your emails are not urgent. They can really
No,
wait.
no, they can really wait. And sometimes I can even find like as a mom, that one I'm sure you know, oh, I can't find this. Then you let them kind of simmer and then they find what they were looking for. So
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing. I had a question before coming on air here. I had lost something, and maybe if I would have been left to my own devices longer, I would have found the answer. But anyway, I had to ask. So mid-year checkpoint for businesses. We're at the end of June at the time of this recording, and a lot of businesses, the fiscal year kind of resembles the calendar year, or on the personal side anyway, our taxes are the calendar year. So, Charmy, what are you looking at right now in your own businesses and your goals?
For sure. So I find I love doing the mid-year check-in, and I do this with my coaching clients as well, because it gives you a very good perspective. Like you really take the time to reflect what kind of goals you planned from last year for 2023. Where are you at? Were you able to meet those goals? And if yes, like what kind of systems did you have in place? And if you weren't able to meet those goals, like what held you back? Because it's important to have that reflection so that it's fine that maybe something happened the first 6 months of the year, but you want to have at least everything set in place so that you finish 2023 accomplished, all the important things that you want to do. And try not to have more than, I would say, three big
Yeah.
goals, because then it gets overwhelming.
Yeah, I'm more the type who writes a whole book of goals and then, oh, I didn't get anything done. So now I like it. Less is more. Three goals. We just did that with our team yesterday at Innovate. We had
Yes.
our monthly company meeting, and we asked our team members to have goals for themselves as professionals within the company on their own. So, yeah, it's important to have those goals and also vision boards. So, people talk about those a lot. I always kind of discounted those. I'm like, oh, that's dumb having a vision board. It's stupid. But it's so true because the more you think about it, you speak about things, you write it down, you start putting things in motion towards whatever you're trying to achieve. So, but sometimes it's just too much. And that's my problem. And I think that was your problem as well, Charmy. The list is like never ending. So what do you do? Do you get VAs?
Yeah, so that was honestly like, especially when I started my other company this year. I mean, I'm usually very organized, but at some point there is a lot to do, and you're gonna need help, no matter how organized or the will you want to do it by yourself. It's there's only enough hours in a day, so at some point you will need to delegate that, because as a business owner you're not supposed to be doing everything in your business. At
No.
some point you will grow enough that you're able to delegate them, and that's what I did. I reached out for help. I hired a VA to help me for the other tasks. I could easily train her and delegate it to her, and that allowed me to actually that's how we also started our Eva Innovate. If I didn't have that help, I wouldn't be able to have a fourth company. It would be too much for me to handle.
Well, that's it. You were sharing with me in other conversations about like websites and landing pages. It maybe you know about them, but I mean being on top of the trends and what are the new ways of doing things. So you got to know that. You got to know social media. So you have to post everywhere. You got to do video production and accounting and bookkeeping and hiring and firing and invoicing and paying people. It's endless. So what can you take off your plate and how can that help you grow where you need to grow? So where you excel is getting new clients. You can't put well, you could maybe, but ideally you don't put a VA instead of you. So yeah, that's kind of one of the things to consider in your business if you're a real estate investor right now? Are there duties you could take off your plate and do more networking, more capital raising, or better reporting to your shareholders if you've got investors? How can you improve things for the rest of the year and achieve more of what you want to achieve?
Yeah, and if you're, for some reason you're not where you're at right now, really like write down what you need to improve, right? And it's so right, Francois. As a business owner, you need to be focusing on those high value tasks that no one can replace you.
Yeah.
Like business development, honestly, in the beginning, that should be you because you're the visionary of your company. You will know your company the best. You know where you want it to go, and that's not something that's easy to delegate. And usually, like you would keep that, and that's why it's called a CEO, right? You're the CEO of the company. You need to have
Yes.
vision, and shouldn't be bogged down with all the administrative tasks. And also, like you need that. You want to make sure your clients are happy. And if you're always doing other stuff, it's very hard to do that automation, the following up with your clients to make sure, once you finish a project, that everything went well. Those are things that really needs to be set up as a system. And one of the things I think sometimes we forget as business owners, the business is a separate entity from you.
Yes. Good point. That's why we incorporate. And what is a corporation? It's another person. So treat it as such.
Yeah, and the same thing that you should like once you're able to have a team, you're supposed to have a team that's able to work by themselves. So when you leave, if you need to go on vacation, you're able to have the company work by itself. It doesn't always need you to be there.
And I like that our Innovate corporate meeting, you mentioned white space. So a lot of people, if you look at their calendars, it's like multicolored. It looks like a rainbow. You have everything and everything's crammed and meetings every 15 minutes. But what's the importance of white space in your life and in your calendar, Charmy?
Yeah, yeah, I understand that we tend to cram everything, and I understand because there's so much to do in a business. But that white space is very important because that's the time you really you step back and see how your business is doing, how well you're doing as well, and that's the time you can actually be more creative because you need that creativity in every business, and then you can have more of a vision where your business is going. So definitely block the white space. It's so important because your brain needs that, and your business needs that.
It really does. And that's when you see some lack of efficiency, you might notice, okay, this process is painful, like taking the money here and putting it there. Is there some way of automating invoicing, for example? Or if you're using QuickBooks, you can set up recurring invoices. So, Charmy, some of your coaching, if it's a subscription, you could set up, or your VA ideally could set up in QuickBooks automated invoices. So the client every month gets invoiced and then the payments automated. So, but you need that creative space to think about those things. Is there a way I can improve the intro of something if you're working on videos? If you, what else could we talk about that could be automated? All kinds of creative ways of doing things. Maybe
Yeah.
a nicer follow up message or checking in with your clients or
No, for sure. Even your business, like where do you want it to go, right? Because when you're always busy working in the business, it's very hard to
to
know
see it.
if there's something needs to be improved. And I always recommend, if you do have time to list all the tasks that you do, because sometimes there's tasks that we do that could easily be eliminated. That's one thing. We do it because we're so used to doing them, but it might not be something you're supposed to be doing. So definitely like eliminate those tasks, and the other ones you could delegate. And that's how I hired my VA, right? There's some tasks I can't eliminate.
No,
However, I can delegate them. So
that's it. Yeah, and that's important to reconsider things. I love this old story. I don't know if I've told you I love telling stories, but it's a mother and daughter, and they're cooking some sort of big piece of meat, and they have and the grandmother taught a recipe. So anyway, she always showed when you get this big piece of meat, you cut both ends, you put it in the container, and then in the oven. And then the daughter reproduced that. She cut both ends, and it was quite wasteful. So it was a big chunk of meat. She would take the ends off, nobody questioned it. They just kept doing it 3 generations later. So the granddaughter was still doing it, and then somebody asked, like, why do you cut the ends off? And they're like, oh, because my mom did it. And then mom said, well, because my container was small. So no one checked why, and they were wasting all this meat for years, just trimming the ends without questioning it, because grandma did it, and then mom did it, and the daughter did it. So the same thing's happening in your business. Maybe there's like friction somewhere in your systems, something that's a sticking point, and you don't have that space to be able to look at it and see how can I correct this and make it better and stop wasting meat or whatever it is.
Oh, it's so fun. It's so fun to hear these stories because it's so true. Like, and it's more visual. It's easier for us to understand it. But it's true. Sometimes you put things into place, and really, it's time to improve it. So
Yes. Well, just I think about myself. So virtual property management, that's something I'm teaching our VAs on our team. So I have these systems, and then yesterday I was showing one of our team members how to do this. I'm like, oh look, there's a button that says automation. Maybe we should look at that. So it sends welcome messages to guests, things like that. So you need somebody to look at it, think about it, and question things. So yeah, if you're adding someone on your team, now you're able to ask harder questions. And midpoint is a good time. Now you still have 5 months left to 2023. July, August, is that 5 or 6? I'm great
six.
at 6. There you go. Get someone else to count, not me. So 6 more months to fix things. If your goal, now's the time. It's like if you're on a diet, okay, stop eating donuts and do this.
Yeah, and you have to really think how you're gonna accomplish those goals, right? If you don't have a system, systems in place, that's one thing. Maybe
Yeah.
it's time to really focus on getting those systems in place. If you need accountability, that's another big
Yeah.
thing. As humans, it's I think we're very easily distracted. It's hard for us to make ourselves accountable. So it helps when there's somebody else that's checking up on you, and that's why there's a lot of business coaches. I have a business coach. I'm pretty good with my business, but I still need somebody who will, to sometimes keep me in check, because there's always things that's going on. And same thing for Francois, I think.
Yeah, oh, totally. Even audits. So I've been looking at social media, maybe some assistants to do certain things. And then these people sent me audits of what I do. I'm like, yep, okay, that really sucks. I need to work on that or certain things. And it's good to have like that second fresh eye to look at things and to bounce off ideas. Also, if you're a solopreneur, like well, kind of the two of us in a way, now we have partnerships, but in some respects we're still on our own. It's
Yes,
nice to have this VA or this person you can say, hey, what do you think about that? And then the person might be like, oh, okay, I didn't get it that way, I didn't see it that way. And just as an example, this morning with my bookkeeping, one of our team members is working on it. She sent me a list and had some questions. I'm like, oh, I totally forgot about that. Completely, it was long gone, and now it's very clear. You sold this property, we need X, Y, and Z on this. I'm like, oh, great, good reminder. And so those systems, having those people that have your back as well, is very important for a business owner.
for sure. And I think sometimes there's also the finance thing that's we try not to look too much, but it's very important for a business. I mean, that is the reason why most people start a business. You want a healthy, profitable business, and to have systems in place. And I had that same issue. I was doing the bookkeeping myself for 2 years until I said that I can't do this anymore. It's
Too
it's
much.
so much of your time, but the thing is you need to know how profitable your business is.
Yeah.
And there's seasonality as well, and I think that's what I love about when you have somebody who's doing the bookkeeping, because you see the profit and loss and you see the seasonality. Some business have that, and it's easier to schedule as well. Like if I know that the summer is the least busy season, then there's the time for me to recharge. And that's another thing I think, Francois, people don't
Yes.
think. You need to set up some time for you to recharge. You can't be always go, go, go. You're
No.
gonna be exhausted.
Yeah, at some point your body will tell you you're gonna get sick. You'll get a cold. I remember a little while back, Charmy, you got a nasty cold because
Yeah,
you were probably like one thing after another. Same for me. I was like, yeah, I haven't had a cold in a year. And then bang, I was sick out for a week, almost 2 weeks actually, a man cold. You know how it goes. But it's important if you don't make that time for yourself, then you're not there. And for your clients or whatever you're working on, you don't have your top energy, and it's just not the best results. So
Yeah, and your system, your body will let you know you're gonna get sick. And it's so funny you mentioned that. It just so happened this year was so busy for me and Francois, and you know what? We both got sick, so we're telling you this so that it doesn't
yeah,
happen to you.
and it's the worst because then you have all kinds of commitments. You're like, I can't even get up, so forget all of it. Too bad.
I know
I
I lost my
survived
voice.
this.
I couldn't even do like talk.
Yeah, you lost your voice and it was bad. So
Yeah. So before it gets there, make sure
do
that you
something.
know, yeah, do something like really block that time for you. And it's hard too. I understand that because people don't understand that the pressure of being a business owner. It's you who know your reality, and you have to make sure that you take that into account.
And I think a lot of real estate investors, that's a lot of our audience, don't think about it. So they're like, oh, perfect. I have a full time job. I'm going to buy properties and I'm going to start managing them, or I'll get property management. But you still need to manage property management and manage some stuff every month. I mean, even if it's super easy, there's still some financial reports, and then maybe there's a leaking roof and a broken toilet. And I know there's property management, but somebody still needs to pay some bills. So it's still a business, and each building can be a business. So that can multiply very quickly and take a lot of time and become stressful as well. So it's important to have those people, as we said earlier. That way, if you're sick or if you're on vacation or whatever, then you have a team that helps you, and then they can ask you the questions they can't answer. Hopefully, it's not too many of them, but yeah, like my team usually knows quite well. Right now, it's near the end of the month, so rent rolls coming in. I'm seeing some people already paying rent in different provinces and states. I'm like, yes, I love it when they pay early. But then it's confusing because on the 1st or 2nd of July, oh yeah, did they pay? Did they not pay? How do you track all that? So you need to have those systems in place.
Yeah, and for Quebec, we love being more complicated. All the rent increases is starting July 1st. Well, most of them anyway.
Oh,
It's going to be a lot of work for us in July 1st, making sure people remember that the rents have increased.
oh,
Yes.
that's right. So they might send you the old amount. Now you got to follow up and then make an adjustment in your system and maybe in your bookkeeping if it's automated. Yeah, or notices. So if you're in most other provinces, you can increase rent once a year, but that can be any day, like any month. So you have to send a notice. Then there's yeah, all kinds of notices to be sent out as well, like even fire alarms, testing. Normally, it kind of follows the time change, but anyway, who knows who moved in? So you might want to check in on your tenants. Those are other systems and automations you should consider.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I would say, we spoke a lot about really great ideas. If there's a key takeaway, I would say for this show is that, you do have 6 months left the year. Choose two or three goals. Like for me, I would share that the two goals I have is a personal goal and the other one's a financial goal. And if you do have a financial goal, try to put a number in that financial goal so it makes it more concrete. I don't want to be hearing. I used to hear this at the bank when I ask clients, "So, what's your goal for your business?" They're like, "I just want to make more money." Well, that's a very
A
vague goal.
dollar?
That's it. I need to see the numbers, like they
Yeah.
want to like 15% more this year. So definitely put a number and it's going to be a lot easier to meet that goal because your brain will try to figure out how to get to that number.
Yeah, and then you do your work back plan or whatever works for you, and then you can plan it out. If you don't reach it, it's a goal. So don't beat yourself up either. I mean, there might be some circumstances that make sense why you didn't achieve your goal, but at least you set the bar and now you can compare. You have a basis point. So, like
Yeah.
us for Innovate, we're like, we're going to do this live show every week. We're going to see what happens. We're going to do this and that. We're going to hire so many people. You have to have goals. If not, you don't know. How can you say you didn't make it if you didn't set a goal? The destination could be anything. So if you don't set a destination, it's kind of hard to get somewhere.
and you move forward. Without any goals, it's very hard to move forward. I
Yeah.
find like the businesses, as long as you're moving forward, I think it's great. Like it doesn't have to be all these like crazy goals every year. As
No.
long as you're moving forward and your business is going somewhere, that's a great thing already.
Yeah, big accomplishment. So, for those listening right now, we have something exciting happening on July 11th at 7 p.m. So, we have a webinar. It's going to be live, but you have to register to attend. And all the details are found on our website. So, innovatevacorp.com. And you can sign up right now. And we'll have a few of these webinars in the future. You do a lot of webinars in your own practice, Charmy, and can
Do
you give us some insights why somebody should attend a webinar like this?
Yes, for sure. So usually like the webinars are such a great way to learn and depending what you want to learn, like for us, we talk a lot about businesses and how to streamline that process. I do have my other company where I talk about the stock market. And what's nice with this webinar, especially when it's live, is you get to speak to an expert at the same time and answer they can answer your questions. It's a more personalized approach, and you get to pick their brain.
Yes.
For example, for me, I have a webinar tonight at 7 p.m. I'm doing an ETF mastery workshop. And don't forget, I was in banking for 20 years. So, these people can ask any questions. I usually will have an answer for them. And it'll be the same for Innovate when we have our July 11th webinar. Francois and I have done a few businesses on our own and together. So,
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be your chance to ask those questions. How does it work with a VA? What about privacy, safety of my documentation? What about social media? English language proficiency? That's a question I get a lot. It's surprisingly good in the Philippines. I'm always impressed because you call other countries and it's not easy sometimes. So the Philippines sets the bar. Most of our VAs are from the Philippines.
yes.
All kinds of other things like billing. How much does it cost? We can give you some ideas of cost. um, our systems, what's the commitment, communication. So we'll cover a lot of topics for our VAs and how it works and how it can work for your business. And we'll have to ask our
Yeah.
team to help us get this all ready, a nice presentation and
And you'll be part of a community, because as an entrepreneurs, I find it's a different set of skills. It's nice to be with other people who are in the same industry as you, or doing the same, have the same challenges. So it's building that community, and I think that's one of the main reasons we're doing this too, Francois. We want to have that community and feel supported ourselves, because it can be a very lonely place having your own business.
They really can, yeah. So last chance here. Make sure to check out innovatevacorp.com. You can find out, you can book a call as well for consultation one-on-one, or we'd love to see you at our webinar on July 11th at 7 p.m. And if you register, yeah, we'll give you all the details. And that's it for today, Charmy. That was great. Thank you very much. So mid-year check-in for your business. I really hope you take the time to see how you've done, measure. So anything you can measure, set some goals, even if it's just one or two, ideally three, as you mentioned, and you'll be impressed how far you get and how you'll end 2023. And then we'll do another beginning of the year check in. What do you want to do? Steps like set your goals and your objectives for the new year. Thanks,
Yes.
everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.